So this is basically a recording of today's economics lecture, in which I have explained June 2018, paper 22, the last two questions, question number 6 and 7. Okay, so I'm starting it, and it will be really useful. So here we start June 2018, paper 22. We are on the last questions, and that is question number 6. Uh, is the screen visible? My sound, my voice is, audible.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Question number 6 is. Thank you. Question number 6 is define commercial bank. In commercial bank, as you know, is a private bank, works in the private sector, and it is aiming for profit. They also deal with the general public, the commercial banks. And what are their main functions? Accepting deposits, advancing loans, and uh, make the uh, financial transactions more smooth. So these are the functions of the commercial banks. Also, details are written in the notes also. But here we just have to define commercial bank. So we have done that. Question number 6, part B. Explain how a stock exchange could encourage economic growth. And this is a 4-mark question, so do 2 points you have to write with explanation, and you will get 4 marks. The stock exchange basically uh, is an arrangement where people uh, can buy securities and shares. So it means that there will be this place will be considered. The stock exchange is considered as the barometer of the economic activity, and it can lead to economic growth in many different ways. But the best way a stock exchange can accelerate economic growth by giving a lot of capital finance to the public limited companies, listed companies, which can issue their shares and sell their shares in the stock exchange. So it means that whenever we talk about the stock exchange, it is basically facilitating the public limited companies to sell their shares and get money. When they are getting a lot of finance, they will spend in the economy. They will do expansion of their businesses, and that will increase the output, that will increase the GDP, and the economic growth will definitely occur, and the potential economic growth will also increase. That is, in the future also, uh, your resources may be more mobilized. So that is one point. Second point is that uh, the people who are investing in the stock exchange, uh, they are going to get the dividends, they are going to get the returns on their investment. They will reinvest that in profit or dividend from the stock exchange, these shareholders, and that will they can start their own businesses, for example. They will spend in the economy, so that is again increase the aggregate demand, and aggregate demand will always stimulate economic growth, and it will create economic growth. Okay, so this is basically good enough for 4 months. C. Analyze what can cause deflation. So, and this is for 6 months. Analyze what can cause deflation. So, deflation basically is the persistent decrease in the prices of goods and services in an economy at a given point of time. So, it means that deflation, I always tell you that there are two types of deflation, and this is also the cause of deflation as well, or the causes of deflation. One is good deflation, and one is bad deflation. Good deflation, जो अच्छा बच्चा है, that is basically because of the fact that there is an increase in the total supply, increase in the aggregate supply in the economy of goods and services. that is a good sign. And you know that as an economist, that whenever supply is increasing in the economy, uh, the prices will go down. So it will create deflation, increase in supply. That is one thing. The better word to use is the total supply or aggregate supply. Bad deflation, जो गंदा बच्चा है, that is basically decrease in the aggregate demand, decrease in the aggregate demand, and that is basically will create inflation. The prices will go down because there is not enough demand in the economy, so the total demand is decreasing. What happens? What are the other factors which can be involved over here? If the interest rates are high in the economy, people will save more and borrow less, and that's why they spend less also. So that is a fall in the aggregate demand. So rate of interest, if it is high, people will save more and borrow less and spend less also. So that is basically another reason for the cause of deflation. More reasons are there. For example, if there are higher uh, taxes, that people will have lesser disposable income to spend on goods and services, and that will create an inflation. Uh, Another thing is that uh, if there is, let's say, uh, your exports in some way are is decreasing, for example, and exports is decreasing because of the appreciation of the currency. The currency is highly appreciated because maybe there is a surplus, uh, there is a great surplus in the balance of payments, and because of that there is appreciation of the currency. Your exports will go down. Why? Because your exports are becoming really expensive for the other countries to, uh, you know, they will not afford, they may not afford your goods and services because of the highly appreciated currency. So that will create, lesser incomes in the export-based industry especially, and that will again create a decline in the aggregate demand. That is also creating deflation. So these are the different causes of deflation. Just hold on for a second. I think the battery is getting low. Just give me a minute. Sorry about that. Actually, the battery has got down, so I have to put the charge on. Okay, is it clear? Analyze what can cause deflation. Yes, sir. Good. Question number 6D. Thank you. Discuss whether or not government policy measures to reduce unemployment will cause inflation. 8 marks. This is a question which was given in the that evidence-based test when people were really tired. Okay, let me check the chat and then I'll answer this question, question number 6D. Before answering question number 6D, just have a look. What are the government policy measures to reduce unemployment? To reduce, they want to decrease the level of unemployment. What policies they can use? And whether these policies are going to create inflation or not. Whenever a question is given to you, think over it. What the question is actually asking, rephrase it. उर्दू में convert कर दो उसको किसी भी उसमें कन्वर्ट करके सोचो कि यार ये है, दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन एंड नाउ यू हैव टू आंसर दैट. ओके, let me share a thing for you, a thing with you. There you can see over here policies to reduce unemployment. छोटा छोटा लिखा है थोड़ा सा. Supply side policies and demand side policies. So supply side policies में education and training to solve occupational immobility. It means that people can switch over from one job to another. And the thing which we can write over here is that this is, if this policy is adopted by the government, you can write against. For example, it will not create inflation because education and training will make the workers more productive, more efficient. So that's why the output will increase in the economy. And when the supply is increasing, we know that the prices are not going to increase. ये मैंने इसके यानी कि against लिख दिया कि inflation will not occur because of this policy, and I have given the evidence also. Now, second is you can see geographical subsidies, or simply you can write subsidies, which some of the students have written in their answer as well when they did this test, to help the workers and subsidies basically will reduce the cost of production. So cost push inflation nahi aayega. It means that there will be no inflation if subsidies are given. That is again a supply side measure to reduce the unemployment. ये भी आपने against लिख दिया. Now, if you want to write remove labor market regulation to increase flexibility. For example, if you have if the government is deciding that there is more people can be appointed by the government agencies, not by the private sector, by the government agencies, this will increase employment and this will create inflation, because demand pull inflation will creep in. Why? Because there will be more people who are working and they are earning more. Lower minimum wage, that will also increase inflation because the demand pull inflation will get in. See the demand side policies. If the government is using expansionary monetary policy, this will lead to boost the aggregate demand and it will create demand pull inflation. And the interest rate is low, so and more circulation of money, more printing of notes, that will create monetarist inflation as well. Expansionary fiscal policy, that will also you reduce the taxes and you reduce the income tax, for example. It will increase the disposable income and that's why the aggregate demand will increase, demand pull inflation will get in. But in the same fiscal policy, if you write decrease in the indirect taxes, that will reduce the prices of goods and services. So it means that will not create cost push inflation. Okay, so that is a point against it. And sometimes the government depreciate the exchange rate in order to boost up your exports, and because of that there will be more jobs available in the economy, in the export sector especially. So the depreciation of currency will create monetarist inflation. So you have seen that. So you think about the policies and then think about the main question, that whether it will be creating inflation or not. Is it clear?